I'm so excited to be here talking about friendship. Friendships is an area that I've struggled with a lot. I'll tell you, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was not born in the US. I was born in Argentina. I came to the US when I was 4 years old. And so I still remember some of those early experiences of going to school, not speaking a word of English. I know that some of those early experiences made me feel like I couldn't fit in, like I wasn't enough. But as the years went by, I built some good friendships. I can still remember, just like the bad times, I can remember the good times. I still remember, if I were to ask me any years where I had my best group of friends, it was eighth grade, right? Middle school. Like, can any of you remember when you had like this good group of friends, whether it was like elementary school or middle school or high school or college? It's like a period where you're like, oh, I was really happy. I had this good group of friends. And then all of a sudden I remember, get to high school and a bunch of my friends started getting into drugs, and I just said, hey, you know what? That's not going to be me. So I lost a bunch of friends there. And in high school, I ended up having a couple of friends that were kind of the leftover friends that I had, but I wasn't super close with them. And I'd started to kind of close myself down a little bit. I remember being open when I was in middle school and then closing myself down a bit in high school and just feeling like I didn't fit in. I remember having friends in high school where, I can't imagine what it's like for kids nowadays with social media, because I remember kids getting together and then finding out that they got together and being like, oh, like, why wasn't I invited, right? How come they don't want to hang out with me? I cannot imagine what it's like for kids now to go on social media and see their friends hanging out and feeling that level of rejection. And so what I want to do today, as we tap together, is to work on some of those hurts that we carry from the past, some of the social anxiety that we have. We also carry a lot of trauma from our past, all those experiences, right? What I want to help you all with today, and what we can do together, is to really be our full and present self. How many of you, if you think about socializing with other people right now, if you think about being out there with people, even, forget COVID, whether it's outdoors and in a safe environment, how many of you feel social anxiety in your body? And I want you to actually rate that on a level of 0 to 10. So just think about, take a deep breath in. We'll all take a deep breath in together. So let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. And on that level of 0 to 10, how strong is that anxiety when you think about being present with others, right? And it might not be really high, but you might know, hey, I'm still a little anxious, a little nervous around people, and not really my full self to be that magnetic personality that I know I can be, where I'm not worried about rejection. I'm not worried about other people are thinking or any of that kind of stuff. So I see some 5s, some 4s, some 6s, some 7s, some 3, a 3. Awesome. So some of you, it's not as much of a challenge for you. So let's go ahead. We're all going to start tapping together. We're going to start by tapping on the karate chop point, the side of the hand. Again, if you're new to it, just tap along with me, and you're going to repeat after me. Repeat what I say. So even though I'm feeling this anxiety in my body, I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now. Even though I'm feeling this anxiety in my body, when I think about socializing with other people, I acknowledge and accept how I'm feeling right now. Even though I'm feeling all this anxiety in my body, and it holds me back from being truly present, I acknowledge and accept that this is okay. And we're going to go to the eyebrow point. Remember, you can do it on one side, the other side, or both sides, whichever you prefer. I do one side just so you can see my face a little bit better. So just repeating after me, all this anxiety in my body. Side of the eye, it makes it tough to be present with others. Under the eye, I worry about what people will think or say. Under the nose, I worry that they won't like me. Chin point, I put so much pressure on myself. Collarbone point, I just want to fit in with others. Under the arm, I want to feel comfortable and safe around others. Top of the head, and it's so frustrating how sometimes I just freeze. Back to the eyebrow point, I just want to feel safe around others. Side of the eye, but I feel that anxiety jump up. Under the eye, and it feels out of my control. Under the nose, but I acknowledge that my body is just trying to keep me safe. Chin point, it's just my amygdala firing. Collarbone point, trying to keep me safe. Under the arm, so I choose to breathe and relax in this moment. Top of the head, knowing that I am safe right now. Eyebrow point, I've been hurt in the past. Side of the eye, and my body and brain has stored those memories. Under the eye, and it's protecting me from getting hurt again. Under the nose, just like I don't touch that hot stove anymore. Chin point, because my brain learned that it was dangerous. Collarbone point, my brain is trying to keep me safe. Under the arm, but I choose to rewire my brain and body in this moment. Top of the head, to let it know that it is safe. Eyebrow point, I can still feel safe around others. Side of the eye, and allow this anxiety to release. Under the eye, I am safe in this moment. Under the nose, and I can feel safe around others also. Chin point, what if I just opened up a little bit more? Collarbone point, what if I became a little more present with others? Under the arm, and remembered that we're all thinking about ourselves. Top of the head, and worrying about what others think of us. Back to the eyebrow point, I choose to breathe and relax in this moment. Side of the eye, to release some of this anxiety. Under the eye, to know that I can feel more safe around others. Under the nose, I'm okay. Chin point, allowing my body to breathe. Collarbone point, allowing my body to feel safe. Under the arm, everything is okay. Top of the head, one last time, I am safe. Let's stop there and take a deep breath in and breathe out. Just notice, move your body a little bit. I saw some good yawns in there. If you're wondering why you yawn sometimes when you're tapping, it's just because your body is relaxing, right? Just like when we finally relax at the end of the day after a hard day, we yawn a bit. And so when we do the tapping and we yawn, it's just meaning that our body is finally relaxing, releasing a little bit. I want to talk about stepping into leadership, really about how we get ourselves to step into leadership to become the best version of ourselves. I think we tend to think about leadership as how we lead our employees or our coworkers, but really for me, leadership is about how you show up in life. It's about how you lead all the time, not just some of the time. I'm a parent of 3 kids. I have an 8, 10, and 12-year-old. So every day is about leadership for me, with how I'm leading them and how I'm modeling the behavior that I want to see in them by actually showing up as that leader myself. Leadership is also about, how we show up in relationships. It's being the one to go, you know what, I could keep fighting and keep trying to be right on this, or I can think, how can I get us out of this funk? How can I push us through this challenge? How can I show up as a leader to be the best version of myself, to help guide my partner, my spouse, to be a better version of him or herself? And leadership is also just about how we treat everybody in the world. It's how we treat the person bagging our groceries. It's how we treat the other parents on the sideline of the soccer field, which, I've got 2 boys who do soccer practices and soccer games. Sometimes it's a crazy environment. So leadership is about all of those situations in life and how we show up as our best selves in a way where we are bringing people up to be their best selves. Leadership begins internally, not externally. Learn to lead yourself first with how you treat yourself, how you push yourself, and what you demand from yourself. When you learn to lead yourself, others will see it and begin to follow your example. That is the essence of true leadership. If you're a leader, you are going to be challenged every day. If you're a business owner, you know what it's like. Again, I have 25 team members now. I had to face challenges of getting up to 5 team members and then 10 team members. And years ago, 5 team members was overwhelming to me. 25 is fine. I'll probably hire another 5 over the next 30 days because I'm learning to be able to deal with more challenges, with more resiliency, and to be able to stay calm and find the ways that I can be a better leader for different people. There's no difference for you. There's no difference in you and what you're capable of, whether you have a business where you're doing $100,000 in sales or $10 million in sales. Like, you are capable of any of those levels. It's a matter of how you're showing up in the world and whether you're able to deal with the challenges that come up as you grow a business or as you lead a team or as you grow a family, right? I mean, the most challenging business I run is the one in my household with 3 kids. That is where I'm challenged the most. If my employees ever acted the way my kids do to me, oh my God, I don't know. I think I'd yell at all of them and be like, I can't take you guys as employees. But that's the biggest challenge. So I say, if you can manage your kids and team members, employees, coworkers, bosses, way easier than kids are. Let's go ahead and jump into doing some tapping. And so I want to tap on getting calm. And I want you to think specifically about what type of challenge are you facing right now where you need to show up as a better version of yourself, as a better leader. Again, this can be in a relationship with your spouse. So many times in my relationship with my spouse where I go, you know what, I could fight back right now or argue and say, no, you're wrong and you're not seeing this. And I go, no, I want to be a leader here and I want to show up as my best self so that our relationship grows. So let's go ahead and all just kind of sit up straight, sit up in your chair. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath in and breathe out. And I want you to think about this challenge that you're facing right now. Whether, as I said, it's leading a team member, leading yourself. As I said, it's always about leading ourselves, even when we're leading somebody else. It's always about leading ourselves first. And just think about this challenge and think about what emotion comes up for you when you think about this challenge. Are you frustrated? Are you angry? Are you frustrated with somebody else? Are you angry with somebody else? Are you disappointed in yourself? What emotion comes up for you? And then go ahead and measure that on a level of 0 to 10, where 10 is that it's absolutely super strong. If it's a team member or employee, you're like, you're so disappointed or angry with this person, or if it's yourself, you're so disappointed and angry with yourself. And 0, it's like, no, nothing there, nothing at all. So just notice where that is for yourself and remember that. I'll ask you at the end to see how that shifted for you. And go ahead and take one more deep breath in and breathe out. And let's go ahead and start tapping on the karate chop point. Just repeat after me. Even though I'm feeling this tension in my body, because I'm dealing with this challenge, I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now. Even though I'm dealing with this overwhelming challenge and I just don't know what to do, I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now. And then one more time there on the side of the hand, even though I'm feeling all this tension in my body, when I think about this challenge, I choose to be a better version of myself today. All this anxiety in my body. Side of the eye, all this tension in my body. Under the eye, I'm so frustrated with, and then fill in that blank for you. I'm so frustrated with, and put that in for you. Fill in that blank for you. Chin point, I want to find a way to show up in a bigger way. Collarbone point, I know this challenge is here for a reason. Under the arm, to challenge me to be a better version of myself. Top of the head, to step up as a bigger leader. Eyebrow point, but I'm so frustrated. Side of the eye, I know I'm capable of more. Under the eye, I'm capable of being a better leader. Under the nose, for myself and for others. Chin point, how could I show up in a bigger way? Collarbone point, how can I be a better model in this situation? Under the arm, I think I'll start by just calming it all down. Top of the head, I know I'm capable of so much when I'm calm. Eyebrow point, so I choose to breathe in this moment. Side of the eye, and allow this tension to release from my body. Under the eye, I'm capable of solving any challenge. Under the nose, I choose to start by leading myself. Chin point, by being kind and forgiving with myself. Collarbone point, by being loving and nurturing to myself. Under the arm, and by letting myself know top of the head, that regardless of the challenge, I am okay. Back to the eyebrow point. Sometimes things feel like life or death. Side of the eye, when I feel conflict with others or myself. Under the eye, it makes me want to scream inside. Under the nose, but I choose to breathe in this moment. chin point, and to know that I'm okay. Collarbone point. I can solve any challenge. By leading myself internally, top of the head, and showing up as my best self for others. So let's stop there and take a deep breath in and breathe out. Just move your body a little bit. Notice what you're feeling. If you had some tension somewhere in your body, if it was in your knee, move that knee a little bit and go, well, is that shifted at all? Because so often we just simply don't breathe in our body. We have all this tension in our body. And sometimes people go, well, how does tapping help with physical pain? Well, when we're not breathing, when we're holding all that tension in our body, it creates physical pain. When we actually allow ourselves to breathe and to relax and to move the energy in our body, physical pain can be released in our body as well. It's important to understand that confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the courage and strength to take action despite the fear. So what I want to share with you just to get going is something that I call the action gauge. And we have on one side, we have fear. And on the other side, we have our action limit. And I want you to think about this as you think about anything that you go to do in your life where you go, I really want to take this action, but I'm not taking this action. Because there are two things that are going to drive our ability to do that. One's going to be the fear and how high it is. And the other thing is going to be our action limit of how far up we are willing to take action on based on fear. Different people have different limits of comfort of what they're willing to push through. Let's say that your fear is a level 8 and your action limit, which is your confidence, which is how assured you are of what you're going to do, is a level 2. How likely do you think that you are going to take action if your limit on taking action is a level 2 with fear, but the task that you want to accomplish is a level 8? Not very likely, right? So there are two things that we can do in order to actually build confidence or to actually take action. Again, it's not just confidence that we want. Because let's say we go from a 2 and we build confidence and we go up to a 3 or a 4 or a 5. Let's say we get so confident and willing to take action that we're at a level 6, but that fear is still at a level 8. Will we take action? We're still not going to take action, right? So what we're doing is we're building confidence. So you're going, well, wait a second, I'm building confidence. I think I can do it, but why am I still not willing to take action? Why am I still feeling stuck and unwilling to move my life in the direction that I want? So there's two things that we have to think about when it comes to actually taking action. There's two things we can do. Number one is we can lower the fear and we can raise our comfort level with discomfort. We can raise our action limit of what we have. So very often people get stuck in feeling like, oh, I'm not confident enough, or they feel like, you know what, in order to take action, I got to be at a level 10. Guess what? If you wait to be at a level 10 with your action and comfort, you're just never going to take action, because you get to this after lots of taking action at 2 and 3 and 5 and 7. But what we want to do is we want to lower the fear that we have to a level that is below the limit of where we'll take action. So let's say right here, we lower that fear all the way down to a 3, and we raise our action limit up to a 5. All of a sudden, we got this gap. And so what we want to do, what we want to think about in life, is we want to think about how we create that gap. Brandon mentioned the Tapping Solution app. I hope you all go ahead and download that and check that out. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and jump into actually doing some tapping to actually become more confident. So here's where we're going to start. When we start to do the tapping, we're going to tap on the karate chop point, which is the side of the hand. Let's go ahead and take another deep breath in. Just kind of ground ourselves in our body. And breathe out. And we're going to start doing the tapping. And on parts of this, I'm going to leave some blanks in here, and you can just fill in the blank for yourself on what it is that you're feeling that is strongest for you. So tapping on the side of the hand, even though I'm feeling all this, and then fill in the blank for you. What is that for you? Just repeat after me. Even though I'm feeling all this, I acknowledge and accept what I'm feeling right now. I want to find a way to release it now. Now we're going to go through the different points on our body. Just look at what I'm doing. Don't worry about getting it right or getting it wrong. We'll tap on the face. When we tap on the face, you can do both sides. You can do one side. You can do the other side. Doesn't really matter. All this, and fill in that blank. Inside of the eye, and I'll start to fill in some of these blanks too. All this stress in my body. Under the eye, all this fear in my body. Under the nose, when I think about taking action, chin point, I get stuck in fear. Go to the collarbone point. This is, if you find your collarbone point, you can go down an inch and out an inch. You can do it with both hands. This is a really easy one to do with both hands. All this fear in my body. And we're going to go under the arm. Again, you can do one side or the other side. This is about the bra line for women. All this fear in my body. Now we're going to go to the top of the head. There's lots of different points here, so you can move around. Say, all this fear in my body. We're going to keep going. Eyebrow point. I want to find a way to show up as my full self. Side of the eye. I know I'm meant for more. Under the eye. I have big goals for my life. Under the nose. I'm meant for more. Chin point, because I choose more for my life. Collarbone point, but I'm not taking the action that I need to. Under the arm, I've been stuck in fear and stress and overwhelm. Top of the head, and I want to find a way to release it now. Eyebrow point, when I think about this thing I want to achieve, side of the eye, this fear comes up. Under the eye, maybe it's the fear of messing up. Under the nose, or the fear of what other people will think of me. Chin point, I get stuck in all this fear. Collarbone point, and so I don't show up as who I know I am. Under the arm, but I choose to shift that now. Top of the head, I choose to acknowledge that I am enough. Eyebrow point, that I won't let my fears hold me back. Side of the eye, that I won't let my past hold me back. Under the eye, that I won't allow the opinions of others to hold me back. Under the nose, I choose more for my life right now. Chin point, to raise my action limit. Collarbone point, to raise my comfort level with discomfort. Under the arm, I choose to take imperfect action. Top of the head, knowing that I am enough and that I am safe. I'm going to go ahead and stop there and take a deep breath in and breathe out. And just feel into your body and notice what you're feeling, what came up for you. So what we want to do now is to reconnect with what we were feeling. So if you wrote down before in your journal, or you wrote in the comments that you were afraid of starting a business and it was at level 8, or you were really anxious at a level 7 about talking to other people, I want you to go ahead and write in the chat and tell me what's come up for you now, or what that level is at now. So notice in, feel into your body, and let me know what you were at before and what you're at now. So maybe you were at an 8 before and you're at a 4 now. Maybe you're at a 7 before and you're at a 3 now. Or maybe you were at an 8 before and you're at a 7 now and it really hasn't shifted too much. What the number does is it gives us feedback. And if that wasn't exactly what we needed to tap on, we can find other ways. Maybe that wasn't the core issue of what you needed to tap on. Now remember, going back to this, what we need to do with whatever we're feeling in any moment, whatever that next step is for you, where you need to build that confidence to take action, is we just want to get those numbers down. So if we were living at a 4, all of you, if you're thinking about your task at a 4, at an 8, it might be down to a 3 now. And maybe you raise your action limit and now you got that gap to go, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm willing to take some action on this. Maybe I'm willing to put myself out there. We want to talk today about what trauma is, how it impacts our lives, and really to remove the stigma of trauma. And so my number one intention when it comes to this topic of trauma is to give a voice to all of the men and women who I know struggle with this topic on a regular basis, to let them know that if you're struggling in a relationship, if you're struggling to feel like you're normal, if you're struggling to live what you would consider to be a normal life, to know that you are not broken.
Yeah.
To know that there is nothing wrong with you, that all those feelings of feeling like you're not enough, that you're not worthy, that you're not lovable, that it is not your fault. You are not broken. And I want to help to give you a voice in your journey here. With that, I'm going to quiet myself, and I would love for you to talk not only about what trauma is, to really define it, because I think very often it's misidentified or misdefined.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about your story, because I think your story is so powerful. I'm always so in awe of what you have gone through in your life and really how you have grown through it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as you'd mentioned, there's the different versions of trauma. There's the bigger T, we might call it, big T trauma, the car accident, the warfare, the veteran who comes back and tries to integrate into society. But there's also the little T traumas. I never personally liked that definition, but that's kind of how it's easiest to see it. And those are things like financial challenges, being bullied as a kid, having to get up and speak and something going wrong, and the embarrassment that we may have felt about that, undergoing a medical or dental procedure. All of these things can be traumatic. And for me, what the most important thing around trauma, any kind of trauma, to understand is that it isn't what anyone else perceives it to be. It's about, if it felt traumatic, then it was. And with that, it's important to also understand that trauma is really anything that feels too big, too much, too fast for us to process within our body and our nervous system in the moment. And that means that there's a residue that takes over and hangs over into our life through not just whether it was childhood or adulthood, but we see it showing up in all areas of our life and in all of our relationships, in any kind of relationship. And especially what we're talking about today is with loving and intimate relationships. And you'd asked about my story.
Yeah.
I'm sort of on the end of the bigger T traumas for a lot of it. I won't go into all of it. There's not time for that, but just a few pieces of that. The day I was born, my grandmother tried to kill herself. That was the beginning of me feeling unworthy of existing, feeling like there was something about me that was inherently bad and shameful that had caused somebody else so much pain that they wanted to take their own life. And with work through that, I obviously realized that that was her stuff, her challenges, her trauma. But the beliefs and the impact of that has been something that has very much informed my life. I grew up in a very unsafe family environment. My father was an abusive, violent alcoholic. Would frequently see him beating my mother, would feel like I wanted to protect her, but would get caught in the crosshairs and be involved in that. There was one occasion I remember particularly when my mum was actually trying to escape. She'd gotten into the car. He'd already raped and beaten her. And so as she was trying to escape, he had climbed onto the car and was trying to smash the windscreen. I had yelled through the window for him to stop, he turned, ran after me, and she managed to escape, but I was beaten. And so it's not so much the event, but it's the beliefs and the meaning that I gave to that. And that was, I'm not worthy of protection. Nobody is safe. Can't trust anybody. It manifested in a lot of hypervigilance for me, constantly looking, is this person safe? When am I going to be beaten next? Just that general underlying tone of unsafety in the world that really has colored my entire life. And I built the belief that marriage is not for me. That's for other people. I will never have that. That's what I did believe until I met Alex. And that's when I was able to begin my journey towards healing and really move through and begin actually seeking help through coaches and therapists to work with a lot of those really challenging experiences, including sexual abuse, of a lot of that happening with various different male family members, that it was never safe to be in my body, not safe to shine, not safe to be visible. And the feeling that even down to a conflict is unsafe, an argument. I would frequently say to Alex at the beginning of our marriage, oh, we've had a fight, that means you're going to leave. That's the end of it. And so it's really beginning to work out the things that we have experienced in our lives, however big or small those events, those traumas were and are, they have a living charge in our nervous system still today that is unresolved and will continue to have an impact on our life until we stop and work with it through tapping and other modalities like that to heal it and to move through it, to clear it so that we can live the life that we truly deserve.
Yeah, and I think, the challenge that we all face, and again, I really wanted Karen to share her story because I think it is unfortunately a very common story, whether it's, all as much as she experienced or some of what she experienced, but it's altogether all too common story. And so I wanted to be able to share her side of really the spectrum of trauma, but also talk about, the middle in trauma and the smaller things of trauma, because a lot of times people feel like, well, I didn't have that stuff, so I don't have the same issues. So what's my challenge with relationships? What's my challenge with trauma? And the reality is that we all face traumas because, as Karen said, it is about how our nervous system processes experiences in our life. And so I'm going to share a little bit about my story because I had the opposite childhood to her. I had two great parents who made me feel loved. I grew up very, very lucky. I mean, for those of you, first off, I know, you're here with me this week, this month at tapping. And I know if you showed up last month, you're with my brother, Nick. The month before, you were with my sister, Jessica. There's the three of us here at the Tapping Solution. So you only get to see me every third month. And today I brought in another Ortner to come tap with us here today. But the three of us grew up in what we would call a safe environment. I grew up feeling loved, feeling like I was enough. But even with that, I had my own challenges and my own traumas that then impacted my relationship with Karen and with all the other women that I dated before that. I can tell you that I was a late bloomer. I still, my kids, I've got an 8, 10, and 12-year-old, and my 12-year-old is starting to ask questions, and I'm always very honest with him. And I told him, I said, I didn't kiss a girl until I was 18 years old. I was a late bloomer. I didn't date anyone in high school. I didn't date anyone until my junior year of college, and I think it lasted like 2 months. And then I didn't start to do more, dating until afterwards. And for me, all of those situations early on were very uncomfortable. And I think that if all of you think about the patterns that you have run in relationships, because that's really what we're talking about here, is we have these traumas that occur that then lead to beliefs of what we believe about relationships, about ourselves, and we bring all of that into a relationship and we run patterns. The most common pattern that people recognize from movies is like, oh, she's the one who likes the bad boys, right? Like it's oh, she attracts the bad boys over and over again. Well, we all run patterns like that of finding the same men or finding the same women over and over again because we are running our same patterns over and over again. In relationships, we run the same patterns over and over again. How many of you in a relationship have had the same fight like 20 different times in a row and been like, why am I still here? Why am I not resolving this? Because of the patterns that we're running. And so the way that those things showed up for me in feeling, early on that the experiences that I had with intimacy, with sex, with with those relationships was that I was not comfortable early on. And so that led to, as each relationship went by, I ran my patterns of running away quickly and, thinking, oh, there's the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, and looking to find somebody else because I was too scared to actually be in a relationship. And so, I mentioned that to say, hey, it's not necessarily about how tough was your childhood, how great was your childhood, were you somewhere in the middle, but to say that all of us in our lives have experiences, have traumas that led us to have certain beliefs and to run certain patterns that we have in our life right now. I know just from watching my kids, 8, 10, and 12 years old, I say my kids, it's really our kids, talking about our kids, that, the conversations that I have with them, the number of times they come home from school or from camp and say, well, this happened and that happened. And, this person's picking on me and this person said this online. And you go, these are all those little traumas that stack up that build our belief system about the world. And then we bring those into a relationship. And, sometimes early on in a relationship, we can be in the honeymoon phase and everything can be fine. But as soon as we really start to get into it, we start to run those patterns over and over again. And so think about, well, what are those patterns that you run over and over again? And what are the things that you're doing over and over again? And what are those experiences from your past that led to you to have particular beliefs about yourself and about yourself in a relationship and about other people in a relationship, about relationships in general?
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.